We're going to talk today about taking a painting further. What does that mean when you work into something, when you add to it? What does that even mean? So I had asked you to make these 10 small collages as a place to start and to make them just very spontaneously, to not think a lot about them, to just let it flow. Because there are two activities, right? There's one of that is the making of something, and then the other one is the editing. And they shouldn't be done at the same time. You want, yourself to just kind of engage in that art making because that's why we do it. It's that pleasurable flow that we're looking for, where we just free associate and allow ourselves to enjoy this exploration. Because that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's not about making something to sell, it's not making something to please somebody else. It's about the process of art making. I can't emphasize that enough. If you aren't engaged in the process, um, uh, you want to find out how to get it. You want to find out how to do that. So that's what we're doing in this class. So at any rate, here I have the little collages that I had made in that last video to show you. So um, what the first thing I want you to do is to take a look at all of your images and decide, what are you drawn to? What is exciting? What looks like it has some possibilities? Um, which of the 10, which three are most interesting to you for whatever reason, and if uh, so yeah, so anyway, we're going to just take those three and we're going to make larger versions of them so that we're going to be inspired by the marks and the colors and the shapes, but not make a copy. So let's see how we might do that. So you might want to take a pencil just to be able to sketch out just a little bit. I don't want to use that word sketch. I mean just to mark out a couple of um, parameters so that you have an idea. But when you scale up, and this sheet of paper I have is I think it's like 12 by 17, no, 12 by 18, yeah. So it's a half of an 18 by 24. You can do a half sheet. You could cut this down so it's more like our shape here, the 6 by 9s, because this is a little skinny. Yeah, I might cut that down just so that it's a little bit more in scale, but it doesn't really matter because you can expand on this at any size or shape that you like. So I'm going to just uh, for our sake here, use my 12 by 18 sheet of paper, which is fine. And I'm just going to, sort of draw in. I do have this larger circle here, which seems like it's a pretty important part of my design. And then I've got, these stencil shapes. And so I'm not worrying about getting them perfect at all. I'm just, getting some indication down here that will help me as I go. Because remember, you don't want to have this white space scare us to death, right? There's nothing worse than staring at it and saying, I don't even know where to begin. But here you have a way to begin. So, excuse me, what I might do is I might start with my light green. I mean, I still have that color. It's perfectly good. It's a great way to start. Remember, we're talking about getting started, getting engaged, and not having the process stand in the way. So I'm going to take a brush. And this is the advantage of having your paint already mixed. You've got it. You don't have to worry about it. It's done. And if you don't like it, you can paint over it, or you can respond to the color and add to it. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is just sort of like, kind of uh, overall paint this background in. I mean, I like that color. I might as well start with it because it is something like what I've already gotten going here on my little um, baby here. Yeah. So I'm going to keep going with it. And notice this is a nice opaque color. It's not watercolory. I want us to really practice painting that way because it takes a little bit of effort to make your paints opaque, and I definitely want us in this class to do it because I think it just gives you much stronger, wonderful color to work with. There's nothing wrong with working with your acrylics in a sort of watercolor mode, but I don't want that to be the only way you know. Okay, so we're going to just finish. I think I'm the same here with this background green. It's actually not the same green as I have. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's close enough. And, again, we're not replicating this painting. Why would we want to do that? We want to just take ideas in it so that we can keep working fruitfully, right? So, okay, did that part. And I'm going to make sure that you have water container. Let me put this and get some water. Okay, and back to my water. And as you can actually, I meant to say that as you can see, what I did here is I decided to make the dimensions of this a little bit more like the dimensions of my initial, my initial collage here. So I'll just eventually cut that off, but I don't want you to wonder why the heck I did that. I just like the dimensions better. It just feels a little bit more comfortable. So the next thing I want to do is, maybe, have this space be something interesting. And I mean, I can add collage. In fact, I will add some collage too. That is part of what you're going to do here. You're scaling it up. You're starting with something here, and then we're going to play with it. So what I think I'm going to do is maybe take, a couple of colors here. I've got my yellow, and I might, look at the way these they're actually little sort of splatters, but maybe I'll just kind of do a little something here that's similar. So I have some interesting color back in here, and just kind of see where that goes. And then maybe some blue, which is what I've already got, and maybe a little bit of red, but that's all to be decided. But what I want to do is try to think about working over the whole piece of paper and to not be afraid to turn your piece that you're working with it sideways or upside down, because at the end, it may end up being that you prefer it in a different direction, that it feels right to you. And a lot of art making is kind of feeling, what feels right to you, what is of interest, what is exciting, what is new. So I'm going to take my black and I'm just going to get a little bit of this is this is a color that has been well used, and it's a little uh, has very little paint still left in it. So I'm going to need to go in there with my brush and grab it. So I'm going to wash my brush off as best I can. It's always a good idea to have some paper towels nearby so that you can get your brushes as clean as you need them to be. And here's my stencils, and I've got my stencil shape up here, but it's changed. It's just now it's this kind of nice biomorphic shape, kind of a little amoeba-like, maybe a little bit. Doesn't matter. But we're really not trying to make anything look like anything here. I mean, that's the difference. We're just getting ourselves used to looking at shapes and colors as elements of the design and not being so stuck on, well, what do they look like to me? I will try to break that habit, because at the end of the day, all art is abstract. Whether it's realistic or literally abstract, even the realist painting, it's gotta feel right compositionally. It's gotta bring your eye around, and it's gotta be pleasing. It's gotta be aesthetically pleasing. So all the different components do need to work together. Okay, so I'm just gonna. I like the way that my stencil in this picture. This bottom one is a little bit lighter, but I may get to that. I may decide to do that in a while. But meanwhile, what I want to do is I'm just looking through the steps so that you better understanding of what this means about taking something and working into it. That's artists use that term a lot. I'm going to work into it. So this is what this means. So we're going to work into this painting now. At this point, you might just say, all right, I'm going to put this whole thing aside. I'm not going to look at it right now. And I'm just going to respond to what I've got here. I actually do like it oriented this way, a little upside down from the way I made it. What else could I see happening here? Well, let's see. What I could do is I could go back to a sheet of paper that I've got, already colored with that other lovely sort of peachy tone, and decide to do some more collage on this. I love collage. I'm always about collage, and I never get tired of it. You could tear the sheet of paper, or you could cut it. I'm just going to get a pair of scissors here. And this is all about asking the question, what if? What if I made some circles? I started putting them in different spots on my painting. And what if I let one of them go right off the edges? What if I cut this and made it go right off the edge? I love when designs do that because it kind of gives them this feeling of being infinite. You just go out, I'm just going to cut this down. I don't really need this here. Good. Okay, so now I've added 3 circles. We like to go for odd numbers. It's funny. Odd numbers give us feeling of dynamism, of movement, whereas 2 and 4 and 6 are numbers that are the even numbers that seem almost too balanced. So I always like to go with odd numbers of objects that I've got going on. Not always, but it's sometimes something that you can think about. And okay, so I might glue those down, and then I might take I might go to adding some text in here because that is kind of fun. And as you're adding text, don't get so stuck on what the word means. Instead, just try to see it as shape and color and texture and something to kind of add to this that, don't worry about being able to read it. Just think about it as, something that could be textural. Take that down there. And I think about some more black and white words like we had here. And you can keep painting, and the other thing that you could do is you can use some printing techniques. You could take some paint and paint it or dip your cup or something round into your paint. Then you can use this to make circles. So you're already adding lots of interest by playing with these elements, by sort of trying things out. And again, you don't want to overthink this. You don't want to be spending so much time on it, but you do want to get a sense of what this means to, start with a smaller piece and let that be a sort of springboard for you, a way to riff on something that you've got going. a way to get engaged in this process. There is no right or wrong. You could work on this for a while. You could work on it for a little while. You could try. You want to glue these down, of course, but try all kinds of things. Maybe this wants to be all painted in. Maybe it shouldn't be white. But these are all things, that we're going to be playing with where you jump in and you try something. That is what art making is. It's not the finished product. It is the process. It is that engagement and your thoughts about where um, this piece could go and what would be interesting and what is something that you haven't tried before. That's really what it's about. Of course, so is it interesting? Well, so my eye, well, one's eye does look at edges. That's kind of how we travel through looking at artwork, whether it's sculpture or painting or collage. We travel on edges first, and our eyes carry around the edges. Our eyes also focus on circles. So we're going to be, kind of going around and around on this. So what areas do we feel might need our eye to be drawn more to? Actually, and you also want to think about having a little bit of space so that your eye isn't overly overwhelmed, with too much. Back to using the paint in a different way, maybe this is a place where we could try out that thinner use of paint, where we use it more like watercolor. So let's just try that for the heck of it. And I think I'll bring out uh, my blue paint, any type of blue paint, and we're just gonna really mix it with quite a bit of water so that it's a little wash, a little more like um, trying to grab a blue. I know that there's one here. Uh, all right, so this is an interesting color. It's a teal, and I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of this in these plastic caps. Oh dear, it is dried out. So hang on, I'm just going to. Here we go. I look around for a little bit of blue. This is a high flow version of this color. It's ultramarine blue, and it just means it's already quite thin. It has the same amount of pigment as the other viscosities of paint do, but it's just quite thin, and it's great to use if you want to make a sort of watercolor look. So we'll just get a bit of this on my brush and touch really well. And add a little water here so that it is more water-like. And you'll see we get a nice, variety of paint stroke now. We have some areas that are nice and thickly done and very opaque. And then we'll have, something to add, work as a contrast to it. Always a good thing to have contrast in your work. So that makes it interesting to do and interesting to look at. Is it's not always the same. So, in a composition, you want some things to be repetitive, but you also want to have variety. So it's that nice balance between those two things. There you go. So now I've got, some interesting different ways that I put the paint on, transparent, and then, more opaque with these and a really nice black. That's what I mean by working into a piece. And of course, you can turn this around and start to see, maybe it works more interestingly for you this way. Maybe these shapes start to suggest things. And we want to try to stay away from literal, but instead think about, how do the shapes make you feel? What are the colors that you use and how do they make you feel? Now I've got this very big black shape here. Could be ominous, could be, sort of provoke some other kinds of things. We've got a yellow circle on it, so it sort of cancels out that ominous feeling for me. it's got maybe more of a buoyant feel. But you could take more black and add it somewhere else in your piece. Again, there is no right or wrong. There is just thinking about it, trying things, working on it, and then putting it aside and doing your second and your third. And again, we're doing more than one because that keeps us from getting stuck in the weeds and not too precious about any one thing. All right, I hope you have lots of fun with this.